folks, we're here to talk about the 1 to 4 player game BurnCycle from Chip Theory Games. So what did you think of this one?
I like it now. At first I wasn't so sure because there's a lot to it to remember to do every cycle.
Yeah.
But, I like it now that we've gotten through it a couple of times.
So this is the second Chip Theory Games game we've played. We played their most popular game, which is called Too Many Bones. A friend of ours has bought all of Too Many Bones, and so we've played it a few times. We haven't played it quite like a whole lot, but maybe just enough times to realize that that their games are a little bit extra, a little bit more involved than you would typically see. This game plays completely different though than Too Many Bones. Wouldn't you agree? Do you remember Too Many Bones?
I don't remember Too Many Bones at all. I'm not even convinced that I played it.
So Too Many Bones, it was mainly about getting all these different kinds of dice, and then you'd sort of slot them in, and then you'd have them to roll to move forward. And it was a real abstract as far as the battles went and things, because you had this little, I can't remember, I think it was like 4x4 grid, and that everything went on for the fights, and it was a real kind of abstraction of battle. This is a lot more straightforward, a lot more one-to-one. Like, it's more representatory of what's going on, and that there's a map and you're moving around on squares and stuff like that. Right. The characters are still represented by these poker chips, which are sort of Chip Theory Games is that's their stick, for these things. They have these nice, very satisfying feeling weighted poker chips. The poker chips are magnetic, so they have an optional add-on that you can put onto this, which are little brass figurines which magnetically attach on here, and I think are pretty neat.
Totally worth it, because it's very cool seeing your little robots go everywhere. To me, that's an added bonus.
Yeah, this game in general is a very premium game in that, and it's more than just a collector's edition. They sort of idle at more of a premium tier of game. The paper that they use is not really paper like most of these little things, although they're very thin, but they're cards and all these little information sheets and stuff. These are all PVC.
Yeah, they're coated.
Well, they're plastic. They're actually made of plastic. These aren't paper.
Oh, good.
I could be wrong on that, but that's the big joke with this game is you could play it in the bathtub because all the stuff's waterproof. And most of the rest of this is neoprene, like all these little character boards and all these different elements, even these different rooms inside of this map. These are all little pieces of neoprene that are cut and printed on.
And you can put your little door open pegs in there.
They've got little holes slotted in the side so you can put in things to like show that a door is unlocked. And there's some other, they use that element too through here. You can kind of peg out like upgrades and stuff that you get for your robot.
Yeah, like this. They even have a spot for your pegs to go on there. And just stick them in. They stay really well too.
Yeah, they do. And a lot of people were worried that would wear out over time, but I don't really see that. I think that that's
more than cardboard.
Yeah, I think it's going to do just fine. They also, like all their chips and all these components, or most of these components, they come in these really nice organizers. And this is a really nice, thick, sturdy piece of plastic too, not like a chintzy thing. And of course, the dice. The dice are in a little bit thinner sheet of plastic, but these nice little...
Still substantial, though.
Yeah, it still feels really substantial. This is just like the Too Many Bones things. The card one really struck me as interesting. Like, you'd pull these go in a different part of the box, but this can just set right back down in the play box, and there's plenty of room for it. Nothing gets squished or messed up or moved around. And yeah, you can just put your cards, like, pull it right out of the box, pick your scenario... things that you need to do, you put that in the back, and then you're ready to go. This plops right down.
It's got a cool bag, and it's orange.
It does have a pretty cool chip bag, but this is probably, if you were going to like try to save a little bit of money picking this game up, it does come with a different like cheaper bag. This was sort of a premium bag, and I thought it would be more involved. Like I thought we were going to be pulling chips out of here all the time, but really you don't. This is probably the piece we use the least out of that, because you only pull your chips back out when your BurnCycle goes.
Yeah, you really don't even need it at all, but it is a cool bag. I like it. And,
It's a great pull bag in general. I'm thinking about leaving it out for just any other game where we have to pull things out of a bag.
Or maybe I'll take it for something else. Who knows?
Maybe. It is orange. We get a lot of play with orange colored things here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah. Tennessee.
Yay! What BurnCycle is, or the backstory for BurnCycle is robots rose up, like humans destroyed the planet. Robots rose up. They brought humans back from the dead. But the humans were still bad. And even after they were brought back, they eventually took over, and then they locked the robots out. So what they've done to the robots is made it so they can't think for themselves. They're sort of taking over their minds, even though these robots at this point are very much sentient, creatures. But the humans have figured out a way to control their minds, and the robots have developed a resistance in order to take it back. And that resistance is a BurnCycle. So they take one of their kind, and they run all their processes through this little robot instead of through the central core or whatever's going on for an internet in this deep, deep future. And because they're doing it that way, they can operate outside of the human's control. And what they're doing is they're sneaking into these buildings, and they're taking back their code. So the object of most of these games is just to sneak in, steal something, get to another floor, steal that or do that, and then get to another floor and then get out. The missions are there's a lot of different missions, and they're all different lengths. They go from complex to not complex. So you've got like a difficulty thing, but it's also mixed in with 1 floor versus 3 floors. Mm-hmm. So there's a good mix of both complexity and length of game. Although most of the games, like especially our initial games, even the training games, they felt really long, didn't they not?
Yes, it didn't make sense in my head until for a while. Probably embarrassing to admit that, but yeah, it wasn't. It took me a minute, but.
Well, we play a lot of games too. I mean, we've played a lot of
games,
quite a large variety of games, and for some reason, this one didn't click perfectly right away. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of little rules and kind of edge cases. It's weird how many edge cases popped up where we're like, well, what if this and then this happens? So.
And I have to know why you're doing something, so
yeah,
I can't just wait for it. But
every now and then we come into something that didn't really make sense, and we just kind of played on through it or toughed it out, and looked it up later. By the time we played our last game, this last game that we played of it, I felt like we had it down pretty good.
Oh yeah, and it was enjoyable.
Yeah, it becomes more and more enjoyable the more comfortable you are with the different kind of scenarios that pop up. And the more of it you figure out, the easier it is to play. It is maybe a little bit of a slog. It's not something you're going to pull out, and teach your friends to play, and then play a couple other games that night too. Like you need to kind of dedicate some time to figure this one out if you're going to do it that way. I'm really impressed with the quality overall of all the components. It is an enjoyable game to play. I'm not sure it's worth if it's worth the price when compared to maybe other sneaking around games, but I also don't regret picking it up, because I think it's an interesting game to have, and we really don't have anything else like this at the house. So.
No.
It was sort of unfortunate that this was delivered. It seemed like we'd only had this in the house maybe a few days or a few weeks before they announced the expansion. So I bought the expansion, and then I just hoped that the game was good, because I hadn't even really had a chance to play it a whole lot yet.
So we have more coming?
Yeah. So there's actually another expansion coming. I didn't get the brass guys for the expansion yet, because that's that's a pricey that's a pricey jump, and so if you really love I would say only get the brass things if you really love the game. It's still fun to play with the chips, and I think I don't know. I kind of like it either way, but I do like the brass too. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play with it without the brass. So.
So I guess I'll order some of the other brass too. What they did with the brass too is like all these bad guys, these are all the same. But all the good guys, like all the different kinds of robots that you can be, all the different characters, they all have their own brass miniature. And so with the expansion, what they did is they made all the captain miniatures plus new versions of for the new robots, because I think there's a few more robots you can be. And then all the captains here, they're around causing problems all throughout the game, but they really come out and then you have to face them as sort of like almost like a final boss kind of scenario, usually around the end of whatever you're trying to do. So they do come out eventually, but I think it's just all the captains and the new robots, maybe something else too. So it's interesting. Something else they do on this game too is you're not just fighting in sort of the physical world or sneaking around in the offices. You're also on their internet. So you're in the web trying to negotiate the different file structures and things and find out the information you need to know. And that's played out on sort of a sideboard over here. So they have a network sideboard, and at the end of your turn, you're going to be over here kind of moving through, and it's like another game. And it wasn't obvious at first how essential this other piece is to accomplishing the goals, but it felt like getting really good turns on the network board really made this part easier. Like you get more energy, you accomplish different network cards that would give you different abilities or cause other things to happen. So
yeah, they do connect through the cards.
Yeah.
In your movements.
But the network cards were a lot more important than I thought they were at first. And yeah. So and that in combination really, once you start figuring that out, I think it felt very disjointed at first. Like it felt like we were playing two games every turn. And like we're figuring this out, and then we're figuring this out, and then we're figuring this out. And the network side's another part that seems really simple, but it was, for some reason,
I don't know. We weren't getting it at first.
Yeah, we just didn't get it. I don't know why. But I do think if you just kind of power your way through and you just keep trying and figure it out, and the more you get used to like the little things that come up,
Yeah, we tried our first game late. It was after work, and I don't know.
Well, in our first game, we did the tutorial, which was okay, right. But sometimes when you're just kind of going through the motions, it doesn't really stick. Like you have to go, well, what do I do now to learn it? But their tutorial is great, especially if you're on your own. Like maybe you don't have someone like Holly that's going to be super patient while you learn together.
Usually, I don't know how patient I was.
Usually that's true. But 9 out of 10 times you're pretty patient when we're figuring stuff out. But if you don't have someone like that in your life, so you can easily play this sort of two-handed solo because it's a cooperative game anyway. So you can play two different characters, or even go through that whole introductory scenario where they sort of introduce everything. This was made with 3 books, and what I'm talking about is this book here, and this is like an introductory scenario. This kind of takes you through. It pre-picks a floor plan, or it pre-picks a scenario, and you put out the floor plan, and you set up the bad guys, and it tells you what cards come out, and you kind of play a pretend round of it, and then it sort of ends like right before you'd beat that floor. It sort of ends early, and then you can finish it out and play the rest of that floor, and then the next floor is what they ideally would like you to do. The other thing they have is just a hard rules reference. So this is just like, this is not sugar-coated or anything. This is just all the rules. And it's in alphabetical order. There's an index in here. Well, I don't know if there's an index. It sort of has an index at the back, and it's got all the rules laid out in a very logical way, so it's pretty easy to kind of pick things you need to know out of here. And then the other thing it has is a floor plan. So basically, there are 3 different corporations, I think. I don't know if the core box comes with 2, and then I got an expansion that added another one. But you'll have all these different corporations, and they have floor plans that go with each one. So no matter what scenario you play out of there, the floor plans for each of those corporations are the same, and they put them all in here. One thing I would advise you do right away if you get this game is go ahead and maybe get the PDF version of this game and make a printout. So at the end of the Learn to Play book, there's like 2 pages with like little cheat sheet notes, like little player aid style pages that are super handy, and I'm always flipping to. I just went ahead and took the digital version, the PDF version of the rule book, and printed out those copies, and I made my own little player aids, even put them in nice plastic and everything. You'll find those player aids to be very, very handy, especially when you're wanting to quickly reference and remember what things do. The first couple of games of this, you'll get a lot of icons thrown at you and stuff, and it's not bad. It's fairly intuitive, but but sometimes there's so much that you need a little quick reference.
Yeah,
to.
like with any game.
Yeah.
And it does come with cards that help as well, like the order of your turn, so you don't forget anything, which is easy to do. And what the tech cards and keypad cards and everything mean. There's
a lot of how to plays at this point. Of this game on the internet, and there's a lot of other people explaining it. So I don't want to delve too much into the how to play this or anything like that. But it is a very interesting game, very unique. I'm excited to play it more. Another thing that's been great about Chip Theory games is if you do get it from them or someplace else, usually the shipping's like really, really reasonable. It's one of the more reasonable of those super premium kind of games that you'll get these days. And I don't know how they afford it, but they do a really good job getting it shipped to you at a reasonable price, either on their Kickstarters or afterwards if you buy it from their webpage. So we'll be exploring this game a bit more and diving deeper and deeper into it, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
That's all we got for you this week. We'll be back soon with more videos. Till next time, bye-bye. Enjoy your games.